social research. Today we'll be going in depth into the subject. In the previous class, we have discussed like the main purpose of social science research is to have an understanding on the social phenomena, have an understanding about the society, nothing but the structure and how the people are going to interact with each other, nothing but its functioning. At the same time, we also try to study about various social problems and we also try to come up with solutions for that problem. We have discussed till here yesterday. Now let us see the definitions of social research, social science research. According to Oxford Dictionary, research is a systematic investigation into the study of materials, sources, and so on in order to establish the facts to come to new conclusions. Our duty is to rediscover the new and or merge with the existing facts which are there in the society. So it is a scientific study. For example, if you see Hindus, my dear friends, at the time of festivals, they are going to have a kankanamu. And do you know what they say? Beta, this kankanamu is going to protect the human beings from the sin. How come a small thread with a mango leaf is going to protect the people from the sin? So here, our duty as a social scientist is to explore how this belief system came into existence. If we see the reality, if you go to biology in our 7th class, my dear friends, we have a lesson called photosynthesis. If you remember, there was a bottle and half of the leaf was inside the bottle and half of the leaf was outside the bottle. The leaf which was inside the bottle died, whereas the leaf which was outside did not die. That means its respiratory system was functioning. That means it used to take carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So in the olden days, my dear friends, there used to be only one religious place where all the people used to collectively offer the prayers. So when they go there at the time of religious gatherings or occasions, sometimes what happens, we used to cut down the trees, bushes, everything, and we used to go and do the collective prayers. Sometimes because of a lack of oxygen, it may lead to suffocation and the people may not concentrate on the prayers. So if the occasion is during summer, what happens, beta? Because of the temperature, the air becomes lighter and moves upward. So there can be lack of oxygen and the chances that the people may have suffocation or also can be put to death. So here what they are going to do, beta? They are going to have a kankan for which we are going to have a mango leaf. It takes carbon dioxide and release oxygen. That means the person is going to be protected. That is how. If a person commits more sins, in the olden days, people used to believe that if a person has committed more sins, then God is going to punish him. Nothing but that is death penalty. So here, the sins are washed away because this oxygen cylinder is there. You're going to carry your own oxygen cylinder. So our duty is to establish the facts, link with the existing facts, and that too, not in a layman's way, but in a scientific way, my dear friends. That is the main purpose of doing research. According to P.V. Young, he said that social science research is a systematic method of exploring, analyzing, and conceptualizing social life in order to extend, correct, and verify knowledge, whether that knowledge aids in the construction of a theory or in practice of an art. So he said that our duty is to explore the things, analyze the things, and you're going to prepare the concepts based on which we are going to verify the existing knowledge, correcting the existing knowledge if required, and at the same time, we may use it for to do it in practice, or else it may also help in formulating a theory. For example, again, if we see among Hindus, whenever a person is put to death, do you know what they do? They keep a small piece of gold into the dead body. Why we are supposed to keep it? Why? We are supposed to simply keep a small piece of gold into the mouth of the dead person. Actually, if you see, according to Ayurveda, when none of the medicine is functioning, at the time they simply use the last medicine is Bangaru Basmam, gold powder. They are going to mix the gold powder with the medicine and they are going to feed the patient. And they say that there are 50% chances that the human metabolism can be regulated. So in the olden days, when a person is on the deathbed and when no medicine was functioning, at the time they used to put on the gold powder. But right now, what happened, beta? We are expecting the person to die, and after the death of the person, we are going to simply keep the small piece of gold into the mouth of the person. There is no meaning in doing that tradition, my dear friend. Actually, we are supposed to do it before the person is put to death, so that his metabolism can be regulated, and there's 50% chances the person can be alive. So according to P.V. Young, it is a systematic method of exploring, analyzing, and conceptualizing social life in order to correct, verify the knowledge, and we are going to use it in practical purpose, or else it is going to help us in formulating the theories. Now let us see what kind of fields, in which fields we can do social science research. My dear friends, social science is unlimited, my dear friends, is unlimited. Wherever a human being is going to interact with any person or with any aspect, that comes under the purview of sociology. And right now, if we see in America, we have the subjects like sociology of computer, sociology of sports, sociology of defense, and so on, my dear friends. Even if a person is going to interact with a machine, even that comes under the purview of sociology. So these social scientists, they are going to study about the past life of the individuals, the present, the development, the materials, and so on. Whatever is available, that comes under the purview of sociology. So in your page number 5, they have mentioned around 18 topics which come under the social science research. It is anthropology. We study about the primitive or the tribal people. We study about the behavior of the individuals, cognitive sciences, communication system among the individuals, cultural studies, demography or population studies, economics, gender studies, geography. Likewise, we have 18 areas where we are going to do research. Now, let us discuss about the characteristics of social science research. Remember, my dear friends, because people are there, we collectively have formed this society. Society is made of individuals. And we people, in order to satisfy our requirements, we must have formed groups, associations, institutions, and so on. And each and every group, each and every institution or organization is going to have its own structure and its own functioning, my dear friends. And they also have certain processes by which people try to interact with each other in the society. So we try to study the structure, the functioning process, the social process, and we also try to study about the social problems and also try to find the solutions for these problems. So we can categorize the characteristics of social science research into 5 areas, my dear friends. It is there in page number 6. The first one is empirical. The first one is empirical. In this, the researcher is going to have direct experience or direct observation about the social phenomena or society or whatever. So based on systematic observation and recording of the information, we are going to summarize the data. So first one is empirical. Based on experimentation, based on observation, we are going to explain about each and every society or structure or phenomena. The second one is logical characteristics. It is based on valid procedures and principles. The outcomes of the research can be depended upon by the customers. The third one is cyclical. The third one is cyclical. The social science research will start with a problem and ends with a problem. And it goes on in the future too. Once a problem is solved, once the decision is implemented, it may also lead to certain complications, my dear friends. And further, it also needs further more research. So it is a cyclical one. Once you have implemented, you find a solution and a new problem starts and it goes on being implemented, my dear friend. The next one is, it is analytical. The research utilizes proven analytical procedures in gathering data, whether it is historical, descriptive, Experimental or case study doesn't matter. We are going to use the analytical procedures in order to gather the information. And last one, my dear friend, it is critical also. We'll try to critically study the social system, my dear friend, and by careful examination, we will try to make judgments. So these are the 5 basic characteristics of social science research. Now let us discuss about the types of social research. In your book, they have mentioned about 4 main types of social research. First one is qualitative and the other one is quantitative research. The first one is qualitative. Qualitative research is defined as a method to collect data using open-ended and free-will discussions. There are 5 main types of qualitative research methods. There are 5 main types of qualitative research methods. Ethnographic research, focus groups, one-on-one interview or online interview, content analysis, and case study research. Usually, participants are not taken out of their social context or social institutions when we try to gather the information about the qualitative studies. Okay, then the second one is quantitative research. It is a very informative source of data collection conducted using surveys, polls, questionnaire, or interview method. The data gathered can be analyzed and concluded, and the results will help in numerical or statistical methods. We are going to have the results with the help of this statistical or numerical methods. For example, in the year 2019, we have elections. At the time of elections, some of the TV channels or news channels have conducted pre-poll survey. They have collected the opinion of the people, like which party may win the elections and who is going to come into power. And after the elections, after the people have casted or exercised their votes, what they have done better, they have gone for counting, and after counting who has come into power, we are going to use the number. So we are going to use numerical or statistical methods in order to find the results or get the results, my dear friend. First one is qualitative and the other one is quantitative research. Then the third one is primary research. Primary research is conducted by the researcher himself. He is going to prepare a list of questions and it goes to the people, nothing but the target society or community on which we are going to take up the study. And we are going to get the answers from the people. If you are going to directly go and if you are going to gather the information from the people, then we call it as primary research. We can also call it as first-hand data. We call it as primary data, my dear friend. The second one is secondary research. In this method, the information has already been collected by the people and they have published that in the form of articles in the journals, maybe articles in the newspapers, or they must have published a book, or else the government also, they are going to come up with the reports or gazettes and so on, my dear friends. Sometimes we may also have audio-visual evidences. So we are going to study that and we are going to draw our conclusions or results. Then we call it as secondary research and the data will be called as secondary data. So we can classify the research into 4 types: qualitative, quantitative, primary, as well as secondary research. Now let us discuss like what kind of factors are going to influence the conduct of the social research. According to Emile Durkheim, that one of the corollaries of his injection to treat social facts as things was that all preconceptions must be eradicated. When I go to do the research, I must be a social scientist. I must detach myself from my gender, from my caste, from my religion, and so on. If I'm going to carry all these things with me, then my actions, my decisions will be influenced by all these values, all the things, my dear friends. So I must be value neutral. Then only the research will be authentic. So the first one is Availability of resources. Our research can be influenced based on the availability of the resources. How much time do we have? How much money we have? And how many people also, human resource also we have in order to do the study. It depends on this. For example, the government of India come up with census reports every 10 years. Every decade, sorry, actually this year, during 2021, we are supposed to get this census report. Just because of this pandemic, what happened, beta? They have postponed it. Why can't the government take up gathering the information from each and every household every year across the country? Because it requires a lot of human resource, financial resource, and gathering the information, turning that into raw data into finished data, and drafting the report. It takes plenty of time. Because of these three constraints, what do we do better? We try to gather the information not once every year, but once every decade, my dear friends. Every 10 years, we are going to gather the information once. So based on the availability of resources, our research will be decided. The next one is aim of the researcher. The aim of the researcher. In order to fulfill the aims, the researcher tries to confirm the hypothesis. They might choose a method which gives them the results what they want. So sometimes what happens, beta, they want to get rid of the project, or sometimes whatever they have, like they may. So sometimes it may also influence for what purpose they are going to do it. For example, during 2003, there was a project sanctioned by International Labour Organization. At the time, they said that in 5 districts in United or Undivided Andhra Pradesh, they plan to give 100 crores in order to remove the child labor system in Andhra Pradesh state. So at the time, there was elections, and later on, do you know what happened? The then government has said that there is no child labor at all, and we don't require any funds from International Labour Organization. And later on, they have given around 25 lakhs, crores. And later on, the project was completed within 1 year's time. Report saying that there is no more child labor in the state, my dear friends. So based on the aim of the researcher also, the purpose of the research can also be influenced. The third one is interest in the subject. Sometimes the person may take up any task which comes to him. But whereas sometimes the people, they may take a project which takes less time and which does not have any problem also. There is a movie or a documentary which was banned by the government of America. The name of the movie was, or the documentary was Cannibal. Actually, what happens in that? Four students who have studied anthropology, they have gone to the primitive people to study about the tribals, nothing but the tribal people. So when they went there, they faced some problem and they did not return back. So it was the duty of the professor to know the whereabouts of the children. So he, along with the translator, he went into the tribal community. So he said that there are 4 children who came to study about you guys. So do you have any information? Once he said 4 people, then the tribals got angry and they put on a question to them. Sir, do you belong to our community or not? The professor said, yes, we belong to. And tell me, what should we do? Then the head of the tribal community has said that you need to prove that you belong to our community. Then he said, professor said, yes, tell me, what should I do? Then the chief of the tribal clan climbed the tree and there was a human dead body hanging. He brought the flesh of the human being, and he offered it to the professor. And the translator, he took a bite of the human flesh, and later on it was the turn of the professor, and the professor was looking, what is this, man? What they are asking me to eat the human flesh. And the translator said, sir, if you are not going to eat them, then they will get angry and they will kill you and they will also eat you. So better have a bite of the human flesh. And later on, they have given the data. So when we go to do the research, my dear friends, all the time the situations may not support us. Sometimes we need to face trouble. So as a project for our academic or anywhere, sometimes do you know what the people may do? They may be ready to take any challenge, face any problem also, whereas some people may not be, my dear friends. Even based on this, my dear friends, the research topic, selecting the topic, doing the research, everything will be influenced. The fourth one is research ethics. Sometimes when you try to do the research, sometimes we may use um, which may be unethical. For example, when you're going to interview a family in distress, could be unethical. For example, you must have watched a lot of movies in that a girl must be raped and she has approached the court for justice. At that time, the opponent lawyer is going to ask some questions which may be unethical, which may be treated as unethical, my dear friends. So here, research ethics also influence our studies. And the next one is suitability of method. A method must be chosen to gather the information from the people. So if the method which we are going to select sometimes may not suit the respondents. For example, I want to gather the information about this Raitu Bandhu from the farmers. And think most of the farmers are illiterate. So if I'm going to use questionnaire method, the people will not be able to read and write. So obviously they will not be able to give the information for us. So the tool questionnaire method is not suitable when you want to gather the information from illiterate people. So sometimes the researcher may not use or select the proper methodology or methods, my dear friend. And the last one is theoretical belief of the researcher. Different researchers have different views or perception on a particular aspect. Sometimes some people may have positive attitude, whereas some people may have negative attitude towards it. So it may also influence our research results, my dear friends. So these are the main factors which are going to influence our social science research. Then go for Then let us go for the next lesson, types of social research. Just now we said that research can be divided into 4 types, qualitative research and quantitative research. Now let us discuss about them in brief. In the qualitative research, my dear friends, we are going to get a detailed description and analysis of the quality or the substance or the human experiences. Its main aim is to interpret the understanding of the social phenomena. There are several methods in qualitative research, like life history, personal interviews, to direct observation of the social interaction to participant observation. We are going to take these 4 aspects or 4 methods to gather the information for this qualitative research. One is life history. We try to go to the people and we try to gather the information from the people. Sometimes personal interviews also help us in gathering the information. Then direct observation, we can also call it as participant observation, my dear friends. Direct observation or participant observation, these are the 4 things which we are going to use in order to gather the information from the people. Whereas quantitative research involves the collection and analysis of data, which is already quantified, collection and analysis of data, which can be quantified, which can be measured through numerical way. The data must be able to be counted or mathematically calculated, and it provides the data that is amenable for statistical analysis. Now let us discuss about the difference or the versus between qualitative versus quantitative research. The debate has been between the qualitative and quantitative based upon the differences in assumptions about what reality is and whether or not it is measurable. William Firestone, in an article in the Educational Researcher, has differentiated between qualitative and quantitative research based on 4 dimensions, my dear friend. He has differentiated between both these using 4 dimensions. First one is the assumption. The first one is assumption. The assumptions of the individuals may vary, my dear friend. Firestone asks, is objective reality sought through facts or is reality socially constructed? Related to like, for example, whether it is fact or whether we are going to be socially constructed, that we need to know. My dear friends, there is nothing right or wrong. It's only the perception of the individuals which makes the things right or wrong. So Firestone says that it is socially constructed, or sometimes we can also measure it by through the facts, my dear friends. So based on this, we can differentiate between the qualitative and the quantitative research. And based on the purpose, it says that, is it looking for a cause or for understanding? For example, why a child wants to commit a crime? A person has committed, he has taken something which does not belong to him, then we are going to label a child as a juvenile delinquent. So whether you want to have an understanding of the why the child has become a criminal or whether you want to simply look at. So based on the purpose, you are going to differentiate between the qualitative and the quantitative one. If you want to have an understanding about the cause, then it becomes a qualitative one. But if you want to know how many children have committed the crime, then it becomes a quantitative one, my dear friends. So based on the purpose, we can also differentiate between this. For example, Malia has taken a lot of loans and simply ran away and right now is in London. And the government of India is trying to bring him back and punish him. But he is trying to. He is also a criminal and a small kid who has lost both the parents. Feeling hungry, he has stolen the food from the hotel. He is also a criminal. But the purpose of Malia and the purpose where the infant orphan is going to do it is entirely different. So our duty is to understand it. So whether you're going to know the facts or understand, know the causes, or whether you're going to do the research for the understanding based on that, you can also differentiate it. Next one is, the third one is approach. He asks whether the researcher is experimental, correctional, or a form of ethnography. And the last one is researcher's role. He asks whether the researcher is detached or immersed in the setting. If I'm going to involve myself completely and if I'm going to mix with the people, the purpose will be entirely different. And if I'm going to detach myself and study the reality, the purpose is entirely different because the result. Hello, is it audible, guys? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So here we are going to study between the qualitative and the quantitative research.
Okay, sir.
Here we also have a distinction between the two. Approach to an ever-expanding and diverse body of procedures. They may use univariate statistics, analyzing one variable at a time, or sometimes we may use bivariate statistics, exploring the relation between two variables, and multivariate statistics. We try to study the relation between several variables at a time. So we are going to take variables, and we are also trying to understand, explain about these variables and its relation. For example, I'm going to take two variables like gender and education. And nowadays, most of the girls bivariate or multiple variables, we call it as multivariate statistics, my dear friends. So in terms of analysis, my dear friends, we are going to have distinctive methods in analyzing this. And the last one is qualitative and quantitative methods differ in the views of the place and significance of social theory. For quantitative research, the theory is somewhat detached from methods, Whereas for the quantitative research, he tries to introduce theories or study the existing theories, my dear friends, and he also tries to bring the changes in that. So our duty is to study and frame the structures. For example, what is the main purpose of the prisons? Is it to punish the criminals or the people have a bad behavior or a deviant behavior, or whether it's a place where we are going to transform them? What should be it? Because after the stipulated time, again the prisoner will come back into the society. If his ideology, if his lifestyle has not been changed, then obviously he cannot be a good person even after coming outside. So the duty of the prison is to simply transform them, my dear friends. So that is the reason why Kiran Bedi, they have introduced this open prisons in Tihar jail. And they're trying to see how the behavior of the prisoners is going to be changed. And right now, these open prisons have been very, very successful across the country. If you go to Charlapalli, just beside that, there is a petrol bunk which is being operated by the prisoners. Okay, so they are going to bring them out and they are going to show that how the world is, how the people are enjoying, and because they want to make him understand that because you have lost your senses and committed a crime, you're being punished or you're simply detached from your family and you're staying in the prison. So even after his punishment, when he goes back, he has to go as a good human being, not as a criminal, my dear friends. For that reason, much research is being taken across the globe, my dear friends. So qualitative studies link themselves with the with the theories, and they also do research so that they can test the theories, formulate the policies, and also try to implement the policies, my dear friends. In page number 17, there is a table. Table number 1, there is a comparison of qualitative and quantitative methods. First one is selection of research participants. In the quantitative one, we are going to have sampling, random sampling. Because you cannot go to each and every person. It takes a lot of time also. Because the population is huge. We are going to select the people randomly. But as for the qualitative studies, it is based on theory or based on the purpose we are going to select the people. Purposively, if I think that this person is suitable for my study, then I'm going to pick that person. We call it as purposive sampling. In terms of data collection, in quantitative, we are going to use pre-coded surveys or other formulatic techniques. Whereas in the qualitative one, we are going to have direct, we are flexible, we are going to use observational techniques. Whereas in terms of data analysis, in quantitative one, we are going to use statistics, I told you like. And whereas in terms of qualitative one, we are going to make the analysis focused on context-specific meanings and social practices. And the last one is the role of conceptual framework. Here we are going to separate the theory from methods in quantitative. We are going to separate the theory from methods, whereas in qualitative study, we view theory and methods as inseparable. They are one, my dear friends. They are intertwined with each other. So this way, they are different from each other. Now let us discuss about the quantitative research methods. Quantitative research proceeds with a structured research program indicating the hypothesis to be tested. They're also going to mention about the tools of data collection, whether they are going to use interview method, questionnaire, interview schedule or questionnaire method. They also tell about sampling, which sampling they are going to employ, whether it's a probability sampling technique or non-probability sampling technique. What is the size of the sample, from where we are going to gather, from whom we are going to gather the information, which is the research site, and so on. All this will be explained in this quantitative research method. In the quantitative method, my dear friends, we are going to use experimental studies, quasi-experimental studies, pre-test and post-test designs in order to control the variables, randomization, valid or reliable measures, everything these are required. So what are the methods which we are going to use? The first one, there are some types of quantitative social research methods. The first one is survey method. In the survey method, my dear friends, we are going to gather the information from each and every household. For example, once Telangana as a state has been formed, at the time the first CM of the state, KCR, has gone for in-depth household survey, Kutumba Samagra survey. In that, he sent the researchers to go to each and every household and gather the information. Survey means we are going to gather the information from each and every household in that particular geographical area. If I'm going to do the research across the country, then I will try to gather the information from each and every household. And if I'm going to do the study in Telangana, then I'm going to gather the information from each and every household in Telangana. If I do the study only in Hyderabad, the survey only in Hyderabad, then I'm going to get information from each and every household in Hyderabad itself. It is a combination of two words, sir plus way. That means to see from above. So in this survey method, it uses either interview schedule or questionnaire method, my dear friends, to gather the information from these people. This type of research allows the researcher to analyze the behavior and then present the findings in a precise way, usually expressed in percentages, my dear friends. So the first one is survey method. The second one is correlational research. Correlational research. In this, the researcher tries to examine the relation between the two or more variables. He wants to see the cause and effect relation between two or more variables. For example, you want to go for picnic. Are you independent or dependent, guys? You want to go to picnic, whether you can take the decisions on your own or whether, hello?
Hello, sir.
As a kid, my dear friends, I was dependent because if I want to go to picnic, then I require the permission of my dad. And also it depends on the financial condition of my parents, whether they can afford for me or not, my dear friends. So if I want to go for excursion, a picnic or anything, it depends. So here we are going to have cause and effect. So the decisions will be taken by my parents. So you see the relation between parents and the child in terms of going for a picnic or anything. So we try to make the correlation between the variables. The third one is casual comparative research. In this, we are going to study the cause and effect relation between the variables. It is conducted between the two groups on each other, but explores a statistical relationship between the variables. Right now, there's plenty of research going on in this industrial sociology. In the 18th century, they want to know, the researchers were trying to increase the production. So they were looking for different methods by which they can motivate the people to increase the productional part. So what they have done, they have taken two sections of people. They have divided the entire working people into two groups. One group was kept in the informal way, and the other section of people were kept in the cubicles, separate rooms for each and every person. And their duty is to do the work mechanically. So their duty is to simply assemble the phone. There are 4 squares. They take the spare parts, fix it, and simply they have to tighten the 4 screws. So the production in the 4 cubes, everyone thought that no one is going to interfere in them. So everyone will be doing their activity properly. But do you know what happened, beta? Staying all alone, the person became bored because monotonic life, routine life, and no one to interact. So obviously at the initial stages, the production was high, but later on it has come down. Whereas in the other group, do you know what happened, beta? All the people were at one place, they were singing, they were sharing their feelings and doing the work. And if any person is going to do the work slowly, at the time the other person started helping them, my dear friends. So obviously the production was stable in the other group, whereas in the other group where we had the cubicles, where they were getting bored, monotonic life, and they started facing trouble, my dear friends. So in the casual comparative method in research, we are going to take 2 groups or 2 sections of people, and we are going to study the behavior of the individuals and then compare between them, my dear friends. We call it as casual comparative research. We can also study like the relation between Hindus, Muslims, or in terms of marriage. What is the difference between Hindu marriage system and the Muslim marriage system or the Christian marriage like? We can make comparison between 2 sections or 2 groups, my dear friends. And the 4th one is experimental research. Normally, experimental research is guided especially by a hypothesis. Here, in the experimental research, we can have several hypotheses. And the hypothesis is, we discussed yesterday, like hypothesis is a tentative statement which has to be proved or disapproved, my dear friends. If it is right, we are going to accept it. And if it is not, if it is not proved, then we are going to simply reject it, my dear friends. It is simply a statement made by the researcher. Then we'll go for the qualitative research method. In this, there are 4 major types of research designs or methods which we are used. The first one is phenomenology. The term used by different authors was confusing. Remember that. It is used, phenomenology is used to describe a particular type of qualitative research. Literally, we know that phenomenology means the study of a phenomena. Any action or phenomena which took place, we are going to study it. Phenomena may be an event, it may be a situation, experience, or concept. It is a way of describing something that exists as an integral part of the world in which we are living, my dear friend. Second one is ethnography. It involves intense engagement of the researcher with a field site of the study for a long period. Ethnos means people and graph means to write. Ethno is the Greek word, my dear friends, which means people, and graph means to write. So we try to write about the people. We call it as ethnography. We go to the people and we stay with them, and we are going to study about their everyday life, their behavior, their culture, how they interact with each other, and we try to write about that. Then we call it as ethnography. Then the third one is case study. Case study is nothing but an in-depth study about an individual, an event, decisions, social phenomena, policies, institutions, or system at large. It is a holistic study, remember that. It is an in-depth and holistic study. We are going to take each and every aspect into account when we go for this case studies. The next one is field studies. In the field studies, my dear friends, the researcher goes to the field, goes to the research area, and he tries to gather the information from the people, either through observations or through interview methods, and he tried to document it. Then we call it as field studies, my dear friends. Nowadays, we people are also going to use networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and so on, also to do the research or interview the people directly. See, I'm sitting at my home, and you guys are sitting at your respective houses or places, and we are going to communicate with each other. So nowadays, technology is also being used for the field studies. The next one is grounded theory. It is a type of qualitative research methodology which allows theories or theory to emerge from the data which is collected. So we are going to formulate the theories based on this data. The next one is document studies. It is also a qualitative research in which documents are interpreted by the researchers to give a voice and the meaning to a respective topic. So whatever the books, journals, articles are published, we are going to study that and we are going to study or explain about them. We call it as document studies. Then the next one is naturalistic inquiry. We are also going to observe and record some behavior of phenomena for a prolonged period in the natural settings, my dear friends. For example, why not temporary period, only for a short period? For example, if you want to study about the behavior of myself towards my lady, if anybody comes, do you know, I use lot of polished language, lot of prefix and suffix. See who came, your mama came. I'm going to use देखो जी कौन आए, तुम्हारा आपका अम्मी जी आए. I may use a lot of sophisticated formal language, but in the absence of the people, I myself and my wife, we don't use that much formal. We use informal language. So if the researcher wants to know the true behavior of myself towards the lady, then they take a lot of time, my dear friends. Only prolonged studies can help us to know the actual reality or the behavior of the individuals, that too in a natural setting. Then we call it as naturalistic inquiry. The next one is observational studies. In this type, we try to have a correlation research on ongoing behavior. In this, we are going to have direct observation of the phenomena in their natural setting. Observation is the process of watching someone or something with a purpose, my dear friend. Then we have interview studies where we are going to interview the people. Then we are also going to have descriptive studies where we try to describe about the phenomena and also try to get the answers for the questions like what, why, where, all this type of questions. We try to get the answers. So these all come under quantitative research method. Guys, any doubts in today's class? Hello, guys.
No, sir.
If you have any doubts, then or else we'll conclude for today, beta, and then we'll start steps in. Already we have discussed steps in social science research in the previous class. Then we'll go for the next lesson directly. Fourth lesson tomorrow. We'll start from fourth.
So types of in social research.
Yeah.
Types of in social research.
Now tell me.
Third lesson.
Sorry?
Third lesson, sir.
Third lesson, in the last class, we have discussed about the types of social science research, like introduction, importance of the study, review of literature, then statement of the problem, and the next step is like objectives, hypotheses, then your research area, sample size, sampling method, then tools of data collection, tabulation, analysis, and findings, conclusion, and suggestions. We have already discussed these steps yesterday. Okay, beta?
Yes, sir.
If you have any doubts, then again we'll discuss about this tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So have a nice day, beta.
Thank you, sir.